Hello, let's now learn how to find the coordinates of a point that is touching both the functions. So if we look at these functions that we have a quadratic function and a straight line. So this quadratic function is given with the name f, and then the straight line is given with the name g. And then both of these functions, we have the equations which is given to us here. So the equation for f is what? Is x squared minus 4. And then the equation for g is minus x plus 2. So now let us learn now how to find the coordinates of E. Remember now you can now find the coordinates of B, C, A, and D because we can see all those are intercept. And then in the previous video, we learned how to find the coordinates of intercept. But now, if we look at point E here, point E is not an intercept of any axis, but is an intersection between what? The two functions, which is the straight line, g at x, and then also the f at x. So now, if you look at this point here is going to have the same x value, okay? And then it's also going to have the same y value. Because now it is point E. One point will have one coordinate, which is x and y. But now both this point is lying on the straight line and also on the graph of G. So if you want to find the x value of this point here, you need to equate your equations, because now at this point here, we can see now the value of y for E at the point of what? Of the f function, and then for E at the point of the g function is going to have the same value of y. So now when we equate the equation, we are saying now the f at x equals to the g at x. But where are they equal? They are equal whereby where they have the same point, in this case is at point E. So if we want to find the coordinates of E, we are going to say now g at x equals to f at x. So this means now the value of y of what? Of the g function and the value of y of the f function are the same for the point of E. So that is where they are the same, where the graph are touching. So but now if we do this, this will help us to find the value of x. How will it do that? So we are going to now work on what? On the equation of g and the equation of f to solve for the value of x. But remember now, what is the equation of g? The equation of g is given as minus x plus 2. And then now the equation of f is given as x squared minus 4. So now in this case, we can solve for the value of x. But now how do we solve for the value of x? We can transpose this thing to the other side because we can see we have x squared and we have x. So that is going to be a quadratic, okay? So we're going to say now, if we move negative x and positive x to the other side, they're going to change the sign. But we are going to be left with 0 on this side. So you're going to have x squared. But now when the x comes to the other side, it's going to be positive x. And then remember now the negative 4 is still on that side. But now the 2 will come to that side. So when the 2 comes to that side, it's going to be negative 2 because it is transposed. So if we work this out, we're going to have x squared plus x, and then we have minus 6. And then now, if we want to find the value of x here, we have to factorize. So I hope you know how to factorize. So when you factorize, you just say this is 0. No, I'm sorry. You say this is 0, and then you do what? You open 2 brackets. So after opening 2 brackets, you're going to say now, how can I write x squared? Remember, x squared, you can write it as what? As x multiplied by x. Okay? And then secondly, you're going to say now, I'm going to look at the factors of the last term, that when I subtract them, because the sign is minus, when I subtract them, they will give me the value of b, which is what? Which is the coefficient of x here. The coefficient of x is 1 here. So now you're going to look for factors of 6. Remember now, the factors of 6 is what? Factors of 6 is 1 and 6. 1 multiplied by 6 is 6. Then we also have what? 3 and 2. 3 multiplied by 2, that is a 6. So now you're going to look at factors that when you subtract them, they give you the middle term, and then the middle term is 1. So in this case, you can clearly see now it is going to be these two factors, because 3 minus 2 is going to give us 1. So you're just going to write your factors 3 and 2. But now you're going to select your sign by giving what? The bigger number, the sign of the middle term. So 3 is the bigger than 2, so that's going to have the positive 1, and then this is minus here. So now we can say now the value of x is going to be equals to negative 3, or the value of x is going to be equals to positive 2, because now we're going to apply what you call zero factor law. So if this whole thing equals to 0, then everything is going to be 0. And then the same will apply to this part here. So we have now two values of x. But if we look at our graph here, we'll have to analyze which value is correct. So we can clearly see now the point of E. The point of E is where? Is on the negative side. That means now this point of E here, it must be having the negative x value. So we can conclude now this is the solution for the x coordinate of E. Okay, so this one here is not the solution. So, but now, after we find that negative 3 is what? Is the x coordinate of E, we need to find the y coordinate. So now, if we want to find the y coordinate, that we can use any equation. Remember now, we have the x value here as minus 3. To get the y value here, you can use the graph of G, or you can use the graph of F. And then you substitute what? The value of negative 3, because now you're going to say f at negative 3 will give you the value of y. Okay, so we can clearly see now, okay, G is just a simple equation for us because it's a straight line. So we can select the graph of G. So you say now G at x equals to negative x plus 2. So but now we are going to look for the y value where the x value is negative 3. So the y value where the x value is negative 3 is going to be called G at negative 3. So G at negative 3 is going to be what? It's going to be minus, where we see x, we're going to put negative 3. So this is going to be negative 3 plus 2. And then if you put everything into your calculator, you will find that the G of negative 3 is going to give us what? 5 here. So this means now the coordinate of E is going to be what? The x value is negative 3, and then the y value is 5. Okay, let's say now you decided not to choose a linear function, but you have chosen a quadratic function. You will still find the same y value. Okay, so you are going to say now the equation for f at x, which is quadratic, is given as what? As x squared minus 4. But now you are looking for the corresponding y value to the value of x of negative 3. So you're going to say you're looking for f at negative 3. So f at negative 3 is going to be what? Wherever you see x, you just put negative 3 and then you square it minus 4. So now f at negative 3 will give us how much? At 3 squared, negative 3 squared is going to be 9, and then we have minus 4. So if you say 9 minus 4, you get the value of y to be 5. So you can see now we still have the same coordinate of E, which is how much? The value of x, remember, is negative 3, and then the value of y we calculated to be 5. So that is how we will find what? The coordinate of a point that is touching both the functions. Thank you very much.